Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Sackhoff Show. I am your host, Katee Sackhoff. Thank you so much for being here. I cannot wait for you to listen to this episode. But before we get there, I want to remind you all to stick around for the Hindsight. If you haven't done that, it's where we talk about the guest, we answer fan questions and talk about life and all that good stuff. And it's really fun. So I highly suggest you do that. If you didn't know, I'm a little birdie to let you know that we have a Patreon. It's really cool, you guys. We started the Patreon because people were forming relationships over on our live commenting during the episodes over on YouTube. And it just felt like a natural progression to the show. And it's doing just that. It's bringing people together. I'm loving it. You get early releases, you get live streams, you get live shows, you get Q&As, you get all this fun stuff over there. You get access to me. I like to go into the chat room over there quite a bit. So usually in the mornings at 5 a.m. with coffee. You can find me in the Patreon chat room at patreon.com/The Sackhoff Show. So go check that out. I have a convention coming up in July called Rebel Scum. But if you want to check out my convention schedule, you can go to Instagram and there's a link for my LinkedIn and you will see all of my stuff right there. I am really excited about this episode. So this guest was brought up to me and I jumped at it because I am such a huge fan of his work as an actor. Today's guest is none other than Brett Gelman. If you don't know who Brett Gelman is, he plays Murray on Stranger Things. Now you know, don't you? Yeah. He plays Martin on Fleabag. He just played Terry Nichols in the McVeigh movie and was super creepy. And he and his wife have a podcast called Neurotica. I didn't know him. But like I said, I jumped at the opportunity and I was so intrigued by him as an actor because he's so fearless and he's so honest as an actor. And you can really, I don't know, every single character, I feel like I know them. And that's a really special gift as an actor to be able to be so raw in your acting that people feel drawn to you and feel like they know you. And I just think he's so phenomenal. And I loved getting to know him and his technique and why he became an actor and how he breaks down roles and what makes him choose roles. It was all, as a fellow actor, I was literally just enthralled with him. But I think you're going to enjoy this episode because he's truly one of a kind. So sit back, enjoy. I'm going to get out of your way and let you get to know my new friend, Brett Gelman, a little bit better. I've been incredibly intimidated to talk to you.
Why?
Because you're brilliant.
Oh my God.
And I get intimidated by people that I am just fascinated by and that I respect tremendously in sort of our field.
Oh, thank you so much.
You have this ability to, every one of your characters jumps out of the screen. And they're deeply flawed. They're vulnerable. And a lot of times we love to hate them, you know?
Yeah.
But you have the ability to make people, though, relate to them on some intimate level. And it is truly just like an amazing just study in character work. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Did you always want to be an actor, or did you sort of fall into it?
No, I always did. It's been my lifelong obsession since I was a child, since I was 6 years old. I mean, I saw A Night at the Opera with the Marx Brothers, and I just was like, it was clear that this is what I want to do with my life. And then I just became obsessed as a child with comedic performance, and with all the as many great comedy actors that I could watch over and over and over again, but especially those guys, Groucho, Chico, and Harpo, and even Zeppo. And I was reading that Zeppo was apparently the most talented one. I read that recently. He could do impressions of all of them.
Seriously?
Yeah, but it had the least amount of interest in it.
Yeah. Interesting.
And, was like more into like hanging out with gangsters, and then later on became an agent. But then, Mel Brooks and company.
Yeah.
Just all the actors who I still think are some of the greatest actors to ever act. I mean, then, Peter Sellers and then the SNL people from the original cast. And Eddie Murphy, pretty
Eddie
much.
Murphy's brilliant.
Yeah.
What was it that spoke to you so much about acting at 6 years old?
I think that it was a direct extension of enjoying laughing so much, laughing being the greatest thing that you could do. And I don't know if I was a really funny kid. I was a sensitive kid. I think I had to cultivate it was there. I just had a lot of anxiety. So I was funny when I felt comfortable. And so a family member told me, it was like, your gift was not God-given. And I'm like, no, I think I was more talented than he knew that I was, because this is my uncle who said that. But my uncle is like the funniest person that I ever met. And my uncle was like pure walking comedy, and and is pure walking comedy.
And he's the one that told you that it didn't come naturally to you?
He said that recently, but it would make sense him saying that because I was his audience. So I was mostly just like quiet around him and wanting to be liked. And I think that there is an element in being funny that revolts against needing to be liked. It's strange. It's like the most desperate act. Like, you want to get the most approval that a person can get, which is laughter and applause. However, in order to achieve that, you have to almost reject that desire and at the same time feed that desire.
Which is so interesting because so many comedians have such a dark insecurity.
Yeah. No, I remember Morgan Murphy, this great comedian old friend of mine. She said, yeah, I bet if you weren't a comedian, you'd be the funniest one in the office. She's like, nope. I'd be the weirdest one in the office that everybody would be like, that's a Morgan Murphy joke, which it really spoke to me because I was like, that's absolutely true. That's like the truest thing that you could say about most comedians. But then anyway. And then, getting older and getting into theater, learning about theater, and then learning about drama, then I started to really soak that in as well.
Were your parents supportive?
Very.
Yeah.
Very supportive. Yeah, incredibly so. Huh. I went to theater camp. They always came and saw all of my plays. I mean, they knew that this was my obsession and that I was going to see it through. And so, yeah, it was just, it still consumes me, every day. It's just the thing that I focus the most on. How can I be better, and how can I get work? No.
Ding, 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 ding.
Especially
harder now.
I know, very hard now. Very hard now. And yeah, so it just was always my obsession. But then, I got older and I started watching more De Niro and Jack Nicholson and Al Pacino and Marlon Brando and Meryl Streep and Diane Keaton and Diane Wiest and And then you keep learning about more and more people, it's just like, I think, Cassavetes and company that's some of the greatest acting to ever happen and is incredibly influential on me. And I didn't really discover Cassavetes until, I don't know, like 10 years ago. And, like Jenna Rollins and A Woman Under the Influence is like the pinnacle of what one can achieve in dramatic performance on screen. And all of them just, this like rawness, and, De Niro and Raging Bull and Nicholson and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Pacino and Dog Day Afternoon. These performances like heavily impacted me. And I see myself in them, And so, I love acting. I love watching great acting and learning from great acting. And I love doing it a lot. It makes sense to me more than anything else does.
Yeah. Do you think that you mentioned like seeing yourself in these characters? When you create characters, is it therapeutic for you, or are you attempting to like hold a mirror up for the audience to see themselves in characters?
Both, but I don't assume that the audience will be able to see themselves in my characters because I'm presenting something of many of them that is very hard to look at, I think, in such a way. I mean, I do what you're talking about. I do strive to do. I mean, not to be the most pretentious person to ever live, but I guess I am.
I mean, please.
I mean, I am like, I listen to, whenever I speak publicly, I'm like, wow, you are a pretentious egomaniac, Brett Gelman. No.
I mean, you are here to talk about yourself, Brett.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. No, that's the thing. Whenever anybody in show business is like, oh, narcissism and capitalism, and they're anti either of that, it's like, well, what are you doing? Anyway, I think I recognize that I am trying to do that, but I don't assume that everybody is going to see themselves in that. I don't think that my characters are like everybody, but I do think my characters do hold some darkness and lightness and ways of coping through that darkness that a lot of people have. And my ultimate goal is for people to feel a connection to that, but also challenge them in the way that I'm challenging myself and like kicking up the dirt.
Do you find it harder to sort of make people laugh because you started in comedy and you've made this like I don't know if it was a conscious transition or they're one and the same, but you seem to find yourself in these dark performances that that are not classically funny.
Yeah.
Is it more challenging to do that than it is to make people laugh?
I think when I'm making people laugh, it's also coming from a dark place. There's darkness in that too. I think like, in the Other Guys, my performance in The Other Guys, that character is coming from like a really deranged place of like pain and codependency. But then I'm existing in the world of Will Ferrell. Then. Right. So I'm layering on top of it that style of that. And then like a lot of it is having a really great time and just trusting that like all those things that you thought about the character and did, the work on before you showed up are there. And that you're not letting that bog you down too much, because you have a lot of other people coming at you with their thing. And so I think it's like very similar, but I do find it very therapeutic to play these characters, and the deeper, the better. And also the funnier, the better. If like letting me, when I get a chance to like really let it rip, like I did that movie Strays, and And I really, much like the other guys and much like a lot of these things, you wind up doing a lot more than winds up on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're saying go and then I go, and they can't use all of that but it makes the making of it so fun. We're all laughing a lot with the understanding of we're not married to any of this. And so that's real. I mean, I love it all. I love it all is basically the short answer to your question. I really, it's both challenging, and always the most challenging thing is to be truthful is the most challenging thing.
Okay, so do you try to ground, are all your characters grounded for you, or are some of them just like completely out there?
I think that they all have something that's grounded.
Okay.
I think that depending on what the thing is, because I'm there to serve the thing and what it needs. Yeah, I might be more like just letting it rip and being bizarre.
Right.
And even hamming it up at times in certain comedic things. But still it needs to be coming from some inner place of truth, always. Always for me. I just might make it really, really big and have a lot of freedom with it. And then sometimes, I'm going to do certain run throughs that are maybe pushed too much. And then I realize that, and then I try something different. But, it's really, it's very much that. It's like, it always has to be coming from my center. And there always has to be a little bit of an abandonment of watching myself. I think in drama, I think that there can be even more of that. You don't really need to be caring that much about how it's coming out. There is no obligation to musicality or timing or anything like that. In fact, you don't want that. So it's really just like, in a way, drama is easier in a way because it's different. It's different because
I don't disagree. Yeah.
In drama, well, I believe that in my personal view, I believe there always has to be a level of performance and craft in what you do. And I don't really believe in, I don't like when people say something is real. And I believe that there's too much of a concentration on naturalism now and too much praise on naturalism when even if a great performance is naturalistic, I don't really think it's great because of its naturalistic style. I think it's great because of the raw intensity that's coming out of that actor through that style.
This episode is brought to you by Green Chef. It is summer and I love it. This is my favorite time of the year because it is warm and I just love it. Everything about it. I love the sun. And this is the perfect time to create healthy meal habits because we're all out there being more active in the summer and nothing better to fuel your body with clean eating. And Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for clean eating. I have been using Green Chef right now because, as you all know, I have a job coming up and I always like to feel my best when I go into a new project and throughout that project. And nothing helps me more than making sure that my meals are clean. And I am very conscious of that. And Green Chef is helping me do that. Green Chef makes it easy to spend less time in the kitchen and more time enjoying summer. And with their new Heat and Eat meals, enjoy a delicious, wholesome meal in 3 minutes. That is amazing. With 2 small children, The last thing I want to do is spend tons of time in the kitchen. I want to heat those meals, eat with my kids, and keep playing outside because the sun is out till almost 10 o'clock. It is glorious. Green Chef's real clean ingredients help you build lasting healthy habits without the hassle. Enjoy salads ready in just 5 minutes, protein-filled breakfast, or nutrient-rich smoothies to fuel your day. My kids love the smoothies. Green Chef is ready to nurture your nutritional needs. My family loves this spicy coconut curry shrimp soup. We had that the other day. We also love the peanut chicken and smashed cucumber salad and the chicken over cheesy cauliflower mash. My kids loved the cauliflower mash. They even knew it was cauliflower and they still loved it anyway. Make this summer your healthiest yet with Green Chef. Head to greenchef.com/50Sackhoff and use code 50Sackhoff to get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months with free shipping. That's code 50Sackhoff at greenchef.com/50Sackhoff. Happy summering. This episode is brought to you by Raycon. It is summer. You know that this is my favorite time of year. I have told you over and over and over again how much I love the warm weather and the light. Oh my gosh, there is more light. It is light in the morning. It is light until almost 10 o'clock here in the Pacific Northwest. It is more time to spend outside. And summer is all about being out and about and enjoying every single moment from sunup to sundown. But we all need a sidekick, one that can keep up with us so we can enjoy our favorite music and our podcasts and our calls in crystal clear sound. Today in the Pacific Northwest, I went for a run. It started super warm. I was loving it. It was great. And then a torrential downpour. It rained so hard. And the entire time, all I heard was my awesome music playing, and my Raycons are waterproof. How awesome is that? And you know what happened before that run? I realized that my earbuds were dead. That's right, they were dead. But you know what I did? I charged them. In 10 minutes, I got 90 minutes of battery. 10 minutes. Raycon has a quick charge function, which was so great. Thankfully, I didn't miss my run or have to do it with no music. These earbuds can really handle everything that you throw at them. I love my earbuds. They're this beautiful green watermelon color. I get compliments about them all the time, whether I'm at the airport or out going for runs. Everyone seems to notice this vibrant, amazing color that you don't find all the time. It is one of the things that I love about my Raycons. Go to buyraycon.com/Sackhoff to get 15% off Raycon's best-selling everyday earbuds. Right now, Raycon is offering 15% off their best-selling everyday earbuds only at buyraycon.com/Sackhoff. buyraycon.com/Sackhoff. I read that you're a method actor. What does that mean? What does that mean to you when someone says that method?
I don't know. I don't know totally. I don't think anybody really knows anymore. I work with my coach, Martha Gaiman, I've been working with her for a couple years now on the last, 6 projects, maybe. Most of my recent work. And after Stranger Things and Fleabag, I started working with her. Because I really wanted to and I had studied the method with another teacher named Tony Greco. And the method, the method to me is just like a process that you're putting yourself through that is a sensory process that is entering the material in a really, really ultra personalized way and physicalized way, and doing things to make your subconscious affect the scene. The meth, it's more of the, it's what Strasberg was teaching in the actor's studio. It's not showing up and being a character the whole time. I'm not like that.
Right.
I'm not like everybody's got to call me by my character name now. And I'm not always practicing that too. I don't think it's always appropriate, you know, because different things require different processes. But I think it's always like, I do think that there's always some sort of like kismet to how these characters are coming and pieces are coming into your life at the moment that they do. Whether that's actually happening or whether you're imagining that in order to give a better performance is that's part of the process, is how do I relate to what is going on with me right now with what is going on with the character? How is it similar? How is it different? What do I need to fill in here for the character that is not me? That is characterization. And then infusing and then fueling that with what is personal to me. And like, you're sort of doing this chaotic dance from, take to take or from run through to run through if you're doing a play, because you're a living, breathing organism. So should your process be. Right. It should not be this like static thing. And I think when I read this interview with Daniel Day-Lewis once where they were like, oh, you were a butcher for Bill the Butcher, you butchered. And he was like, yeah. They're like, why did you do that? He was like, I just do everything because I don't know what is going to hook me in. And like, to me, I think that's the method, is this search that you're constantly doing when you're in the midst of a performance. But then with some things, the search is like very clear, like with Stranger Things, that's sort of like me entering into a childhood fantasy of play of this type of character that like I dreamed about playing when I was a kid, that he is sort of like in a way the Danny DeVito of the action comedy to a certain degree. And so there's like being infused with like that memory of like watching those types of characters and those things. And so, yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, I asked her, I was like, am I a method actor? And Martha said, just tell people you have a process.
Was it intimidating to work with her or to tell people that you're working with a coach? I feel like sometimes in our industry, once you start to become like a high level successful working actor, there's like this idea that I'm here. I'm the one that people are looking to emulate, as opposed to I'm still studying. I'm still a student. I'm still actively trying to better myself as an actor. Did you go through any of that like thinking in your mind when you were working with Martha? Because you said this has only been like 6 years or something.
Well, Martha's I'm classically trained. So, and I had studied with this other teacher, great teacher, Tony Greco. And so he had taught, and he was like a teacher of the method, specifically as well. And so it was like a lot of that sensory work. So I was using a lot of that. And then I just sort of like that rawness was something that, it has always been a part of me too. Like, it's weird. I feel like I'm always like this schizophrenic split down the middle of this like sort of classic comedic performer, and then also this gritty, raw actor and artist. And so it's always like pulling from both of those influences, from Groucho and from De Niro, and so I was excited for it. And she's like a very inspiring person. And, part of her job is not to intimidate me, but to support me. I was lucky that she liked my work.
There you go. There you go.
That's the thing. Like she didn't know right? She didn't know who I was. Yeah. And she could have been like, okay, we're going to do the best we can here. But, she sort of, it's like a spiritual relationship when we work together. And then she also introduced me to, I also wanted to try dream work. because I had heard about dream work.
What is dream work?
And she was also, it was developed by this teacher named Sandra Seacat. And it's basically this exercise that you take yourself through. And then you write this thing down before you dream. And then you go and you dream. And immediately when you wake up, you write down the dream you had. And the exercise, I then take Martha, I tell Martha about my whole dream. And we take things from the dream that felt powerful. And it's basically using your subconscious through dreams to create a sensory experience and to inspire certain scenes in a much less intellectual way. So it's like, it's sort of this leap of trust and faith in the subconscious and in something that is a metaphor that you're using. That's another tool to use,
Yeah.
As opposed to using, that time that you got beaten up on the schoolyard by Bobby.
As something to pull from.
Right. It's something to pull from. So it's all just like tools and things to pull from. And sometimes all I'm pulling from is my comedic talent. And that's enough, to lean into that. Is like, oh no, this really is about like how I deliver these lines right now.
And is that just the entire process of finding a character? Like, do you, when you initially read a project like Murray from Stranger Things, do you see that character immediately or pieces of that character, and that's what sort of brings you to say, I can do this? Or do you sort of go through this entire process with yourself and with Martha to find them?
It depends, like what the character is. Like that, and how much they're like me and how quickly I easily fit into the character, because playing Murray, he's a lot closer to me. Playing Martin is, in a way, a lot closer to me. Martin is a very, 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 very dark version of me, which I hope I never become. But he is like a nightmare of what I could become.
Interesting.
But then playing Terry Nichols and McVeigh, that's very different than who I am.
Yeah.
That's like so different. We're talking about a Midwestern white supremacist and who is also kind of fades into the wallpaper and is just basing his life on this credo that he has committed to. And that would like mapping all of that out and like what the exact relationships are with people. Like, what's my relationship to my wife in that movie? Even though you don't see that, I have to mind that, you do see it, but it's not like a major story point to the film. There's like a scene where I'm like talking about her. She's like a mail order bride, and I'm talking to her, and all of a sudden I am like talking about her really like sexually. And it just feels so different than the way I'm acting a lot of the other times. But it's sort of like me becoming like this person that I think he wants me to be in order to connect to him. And then that's entering into something that I have, which is high agency of wanting people to like me. So it's like, like that type of thing. But
so you do feel like you have to, like a character like Terry Nichols, like you do feel like you have to find a piece of him that you can identify with, even if what he's done and, what he participated in is unforgivable. You have to find pieces of, Is that hard to identify with someone that is, because we all, we try to reject the devil in people, the evil in people as a society. As a person, you try to reject those things. As an actor, you're trying to actually find pieces of it you can identify with.
I think it's important I think it's important to do that. I think it's something that I've always like sought to do. That's interesting to me because that's essential. I think with acting, that's the whole basis of drama. Yeah, and by drama, I mean, comedy and drama by what we do, because how are you going to play Hamlet or Lady Macbeth or Macbeth if you don't do that? And what we should be striving to do at all times is be able to play that level of complexity. I mean, how are you going to be and also, I think being funny is entering into some of that darkness, and or that chaos. Like, yeah, like Mel Brooks might not be dark, but Mel Brooks knows what true madness is. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to like present it in that way and laugh at it like that.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you have to be a mess. I think there's people who are very healthy who can enter into that, but sometimes that can be a struggle. Absolutely. Of going into that darkness. But it's also just like, it's sort of like it hurts so good. It's kind of fun as long as you're not getting to a place of abuse of yourself or others in the course of doing that. But to get, to me, to really get into that is the goal. And that's when I know that I'm in a really cathartic, artistic place.
Does that change you at your core every time you find something to identify with a person who is, hated, I guess?
Like, does it like alter my personality or
not alter your personality, I guess, but alter your sort of, we are only as great as the life that we lead and the experiences that we have, and as an actor, one of the things that I love so much is being able to inhabit other people and another person's perspective. But the knowledge of playing those characters and like existing in those places at times does sort of change your understanding of people, I guess. And do you find that it takes you to a dark place because you can understand a dark place?
Yeah. Well, I think what you're talking about too is like also the thing. Like I'm also, you have to look at what the character's perspective is from an outsider view too. I believe in that as well, is analyzing like what the character wants and then using myself to fuel that and how I relate to that and what's like that. So it is like about deep character analysis and not just saying like, oh, this is me, but like starting with like, who is this character and what they're doing? What do they want? How do they behave? All of that is very important. Otherwise, you're just like playing yourself. And then that's like really weird and narcissistic. And,
right.
I don't know. I think that you would be, I actually think that you're using less of yourself if you think about it that way, that like a character's me.
Yeah.
Because there's so much like the character is supposed to reveal something about yourself to you also that you didn't know before necessarily. And I'm not even saying that intellectually, but yeah, I think you should change. I think that I hope to change because I hope that the experience was fulfilling and full enough and intense enough that it did make me, it did change me in some way in the same way that any intense experience would. And like, that's kind of the gift of being an artist is like, oh, we can have that multiple times throughout our life, a lot more than other people may or may not,
What was it about playing Terry that in McVeigh? What was it about this project that made you want to sort of take it on?
Well, I thought it would give people a chance to see me, and continue down this way that I've been going, that they hadn't seen me do before. I thought that they would really see me different, see me, there'd be a fuller picture of me. And I keep trying to increase that full picture without abandoning what is already known and what I, have already seen. I still don't feel like people have really seen everything that I can do. It was also a chance to like really physically transform, which is not totally required in a lot of my other characters. Not that there isn't some sort of physical transformation there, but I think like if I tried to put too much physical transformation into Martin or Murray, it would be over preparing and it would sort of like weigh the performance down. In the way, like if like Meryl did that in Defending Your Life, it just would feel strange. Like,
yeah,
she's the best because she knows when is she going to work more from her physical self and when is she going to change it all, and both have the same level of depth and spontaneity, whether it's funny or dramatic. I mean, she really is the best.
She's phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cliche thing to say, but it's cliche because it's true because she really accesses the ideal of what like we're striving for always in terms of transformation and spontaneity and really serving the material in this amazing way while at the same time still being a lightning rod within that material, which we all want to be.
Well, we'd hope so, right? What all did you do to transform
into him?
Yeah.
I worked with a dialect coach to really like nail the dialect. And then the dialect then really starts to inform the full physicality. And you can't really have one without the other. It's very strange. If I don't like physically start to move differently, then I don't achieve what he sounds like. Mm-hmm. It really all like kind of matches up in the end. It's like a puzzle that like, you're like, oh, it's here. I hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and so I did a lot of that. And then that informed how he moves and everything like that. And then, I probably like walked into a store and like ordered something in the voice and in the physicality just to be like, is this person going to believe that I'm this person talking to them right now? Or are they going to be like, why are you acting like a cartoon in my store? Get the fuck out of here. But like, and so it was going through, and then like going through the text a lot. And then on set, I did keep the physicality the whole time. And I kept the accent the whole time. And because I didn't want to, you don't want to have to warm up in the take. And I felt like I could so easily, I am like somewhat of a larger than life type of person. I'm very gregarious and big. People aren't usually telling me to make it bigger. Cut. Can we have more, Brett? More from you?
But it's easier to pull.
Usually happens.
I've always been told it's easier to pull someone back than it is to bring more. So I always try to go out the gate.
Yeah, me too. No, I think that's the way to do it. I think that's the way. Always like give it more, and then
not that much, Katee. Please, God, not that much. Okay.
Yeah. I remember. I was doing some like sitcom, and Tony Shalhoub was in it, who's also one of my heroes. Uh-huh. And I don't know, I just like belted out this line in this take. And they were like, cut. Tony's like, bigger. Yeah, but I love that. Yeah, I think also it's like always theater. I think there's always a theater to it, whether you're on stage or screen. Yeah, there's always a theater to it. And anyway, so I was like, hey guys, I'm going to be speaking in the accent and sort of, and I think people on that set were like, he's in character, but I wasn't like, oh yeah, I had sausage links this morning and they were real good. And then I went out and I, blew up a bomb in the woods. I was still like talking as me,
like yourself,
like from my experience and stuff like that. Unless unless you have to like go into a really emotional state. But I always feel though too that like on set, that's such an intense place that you have plenty to pull from to feed you that's actually happening around you. And a lot of the time that's kind of linking up with where the character's at in this weird magical way. But it's really not that like, it's not that magical, I don't think, because I think that it's just like all characters are dealing from a place of high stakes, and it's a high stakes situation with a lot of obstacles and a lot of bullshit a lot while you're working. And so rather than let that throw you, I'm always like, well, thank you for the gift. You know, also like when something crazy is happening in your life, you know, you get a crazy call from somebody close to you and it feels oddly in line with it. Or at least I go, okay, well, how can I use this right now and not let it destroy the performance today?
You've brought up Murray quite a bit, and because I think it's such a wonderful character. And he started out when we meet him as just like this like paranoid conspiracy theorist. And he's become like the voice of like reason. Was that always the plan, or did that show sort of morph and did you sort of see where he was going to go from the beginning?
No, I don't think they had a plan for me to be in this show as much as I wound up being in the show. I knocked their socks off. What can I?
Wow.
No, I always kind of saw him as that, like, you know, on my first day, I walked up to Matt and Ross and I was like, oh, he's like your Richard Dreyfuss in Jaws. Like if this was Jaws, I'd be your Richard Dreyfuss. They're like, exactly.
Yeah.
And Richard Dreyfuss is like the urbanite who's the voice of reason. It's always wild to me when people call him a weirdo, because I really don't think of Murray that way, even though he was like living in a bunker. I don't know. I guess I can relate to somebody who makes the choice to do that because just people are too much. But he was somebody who had like a very good reason to isolate from society. And like I had to come up with the whole backstory of why that was. I wasn't given that. And so, nor are you ever given that. You're not like
not
people
usually.
are, as you know. Unless it like plays actually into the script. Otherwise,
it's all just shit that we create on our own.
Yeah.
Like
so it was like a backstory of like, I was like, oh, well, how did he wind up here? I got to know how he wound up here. And he's not just like a weirdo. And to me, he was a disgraced journalist who, you know, was a very respected journalist, but then found some stuff out that got him, that made it so that he had to hide. And it made sense a lot too that he was like, you know, a reporter in Chicago, because if we're talking about what the political climate in Chicago was in the 60s and 70s, which is when Murray would have been a much younger reporter starting out during a time that was very politically volatile. And like how, you know, I'm looking at like, you're looking at the scene design of the bunker. I'm seeing like R. Crumb, you know, and anti-Nixon cartoons, you know, cartoon posters, and I'm listening to jazz and things like that. These are things that were, you know, in either the design or the script that you start to pull from that, you know. So that's what I'm starting with. You know, I don't start with what my ideas are. So yeah, I want to be very clear about that. Like you're using the given circumstances first. Otherwise, you're annoying.
Have you ever met Richard Dreyfuss?
No.
I did a show with Richard when I was 19 years old.
19, and how was that?
20. He played my dad. And he was everything you would think he was. One day I came to work and I had not studied. I came to work and he found out that I hadn't seen like I was working with Peter O'Toole and I'd never seen Lawrence of Arabia. And so he sent me home over the weekend with a list of movies. And if I didn't watch a movie a weekend, he wouldn't work with me on Monday morning.
Wow.
Like he was really, really good at a mentor without really meaning to be at that point in my career. Is like a very, very young starting out actress for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was working with Peter O'Toole like?
He was wonderful. Wonderful. I drank a martini with him.
Wow.
He was wonderful. Yeah.
What was that?
It was called The Education of Max Bickford. I got to work with Eli Wallach, played my grandfather, Ann Johnston, Marcia Gay Harden. It was it was like a stupid, I mean, not stupid show, but just like a crazy, stupid sort of like acting class every single day. And I was like this like 19-year-old kid that was like, you're the guy from Jaws.
Yeah. That's insane. Yeah, I mean, like to have like O'Toole, but then Wallach, and you're seeing like, because a lot of British acting is so instinctual and just the craft of it, and they're trusting that like so much of that depth is just running through, which it is, because those people are so insanely talented. And then you have Eli Wallach, who was rolling around in the mud, you know, like Eli, in that American way.
Eli had this like, just like this heart that like came out of him at all times.
Yeah.
Like this every time he acted, it was from a place of just such a grounded place where he just became the character. Like that was just his way of being. He was so wonderful to watch work.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, I had like a teacher tell me, he was like, Tony Greco, he was like, you're kind of a mess. Like I did a singing class. He was like, you're kind of a mess. Like Geraldine Page.
Kind of a mess.
And I was like, you're right. I am kind of a mess.
What do you do with that? What do you do with it when someone's like, you're a mess?
I saw it as a compliment, and it was something that I was able to see about myself, because I am kind of a mess, and acting gives me a great way to like filter and focus that mess through the perspective of a character and like bring all of that out. And there's nothing else that really allows me to do it like that. I mean, I write a lot too, but it's just, you know, and it does that, but not in it's almost like writing makes me feel more insane, and acting makes me feel cleansed.
What is it about writing that makes you more insane? Like, and because I know that you published a book, last year?
Yeah.
Was that something that you were working on for a long time, or was it just sort of something that came very quickly? Was it just pieces of what you have and you've got more? Like, because you write quite a bit, you said.
I mean, as a writer, I'm a quick study, but I'm a giant procrastinator. It's hard to sit down and do it. So the book, it took me like 3 years to write, but within that 3 years, it was probably like 6 months of work. Mm-hmm. It's also hard to double dip if I'm doing an acting performance and then to be writing the book at the same time. That's really very difficult.
Yeah.
As much as I try to have more than one thing going on at a time, it can be really hard sometimes, you know, plus life.
Yeah. Well, you got married last year too, right?
Yeah. Amazing. Very, yeah, I mean, that was like the greatest weekend of my life.
In Tuscany?
And yeah.
Stop.
And she's like, being with her, it does always feel like we're in like, where it's never a mundane moment. Don't really allow it to be that way. And so, it was beautiful, and just, and a lot of love.
I love that.
Yeah.
How has your life changed, like in fandom since Stranger Things?
Oh, I think it's like incredibly increased.
Yeah. I mean, it's different. Do you do sci-fi conventions?
I was doing it a little bit, but and I might do it more, but I had a hard time with it.
Yeah.
I had a hard time with it because I'm not like as famous as the kids either.
Well, those kids are
exactly, like the kids are like the Beatles.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
It's really crazy. So if you're there, it's like, I don't know. It feels like high school. I mean, I still am such like a youthful person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel old at all. I mean, I'm not old, but like I feel even younger than I am. And I feel, I don't know, I in a way feel like I've always been the same age. And it's this age, whatever it is. And so it's like I go there and I'm like, oh my God, there's nobody at my table. And then everybody's lining up for Joe Quinn. And like, who also, even though he was in that one season, Joe,
I have been next to Joe at conventions.
Yeah. Joe, that was mega. And I'm very, let me say, it's very deserved. All of these people are insanely talented and they're great people. I'm very happy for them. But yeah, it would be like, oh my God, like everybody's at like Joe and Jamie's table and they're not at mine. What's happening?
What is
getting jealous.
But what has it been like?
And I was like, I can't take this.
I can't take it. I'm going back to my room. I'm going back to my room. Let me know when someone shows up.
But then it's weird because then I get a lot of people saying that I'm their favorite character. It's just, I don't know. It's like, that's the whole thing with fandom and fame. It's like one person, it depends from like day to day how you're going to fit. It's such a fickle, non-existent illusion in a lot of ways.
Have you seen the final season of Stranger Things?
No.
But you were
there. They don't
there.
Trust us.
Do you know, like, do they give you everything? So you...
Yeah. We do table reads.
Okay. Of every
so we all
episode?
know, but we're... Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But we're all sworn to secrecy.
Yeah.
So, because... Which makes sense. I mean, it's just like the way in which the fans are rabid and trying to find out what's going on and how fast that will spread is truly insane. Truly insane. Yeah.
What do you hope at the end of this? Because this is the last season.
Yeah.
What do you hope that the fans that are rabid sort of walk away with and remember about the show?
I really hope that that they love the last season as much, if not more than, as much, or if not more than the rest of the seasons, and that it, is the perfect end to this incredible story that we've told, this like myth that we've told. They really they hit that Lucas Spielberg sweet spot with this show in this amazing way, and created all created a lot of characters that hopefully will live in the canon of this art form and business for a long time. And it'll stay with people. And like all of us will stay with people in the way, like, Han Solo and Chewbacca and Princess Leia and C-3PO and R2-D2 and Indiana Jones have stayed with people, because I think that the show has achieved that. And that's wild. It's wild to be the Jewish Lando Calrissian.
You are that's very good. I like that.
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, I guess I'm like kind of like C-3PO in a way, because I'm always like negative, but yet I'm very helpful,
but also
like
really helpful,
very negative.
But also like he saves the day whilst also making a mistake.
Yeah. So I think Murray's the closest probably to C-3PO, which makes sense because I love C-3PO so much. And I was watching A New Hope the other night and I was like, wow, what the, like, this is insane that this was made. I think we take for granted because of its popularity, which I also think sometimes happens to Stranger Things. Just how like impactful and how those characters really enter you, which I felt about the show in the first season before I was on it. I called my agent. I was like, you got to get me on this show.
Did you audition?
I did.
Did you?
Audition, yeah.
Is the Murray you auditioned with the Murray that we see?
I think there were very similar things about it, even though I was not really given that much information. And I think that I think it makes I do think in a way like I was the only one to play him.
Well, now I can't imagine anyone else.
But
maybe
like
Tony Shalhoub.
I think of the copy and stuff like that. Yeah, Tony Shalhoub would have been amazing, or John Turturro.
Oh my God.
John Turturro would have been an amazing Murray.
Nobody could have played him but you. Nobody.
No, but those two would have been amazing Murrays. Gene Wilder would have been an amazing Murray.
Gene Wilder is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gene Wilder is one of my gods of all gods. And I think about Gene Wilder a lot when I'm playing Murray. I mean, I think about him a lot anyway, all the time. But I think like there was like a lot of Richard Dreyfuss at first, and then there was a lot of Gene Wilder, and even like, this is going to sound weird, even like a lot of like John Candy. So there was like a mania of Gene Wilder, but then there was this like, whenever I was like in disguise doing like,
that's John Candy.
Trying that I felt if I was going to say anybody, I just would think of John Candy sometimes.
Well, all of you have a tremendous physicality to the characters that you play.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I mean, it's a very physical world.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember that first scene of where I like meet David, that I had. And I remember David having this whole physical routine that he had worked out with his secretary of like handing off the jacket, getting the donut. And I was like, oh, wow, this is okay. Great. This is the level that we're working at. And the Duffers are always like presenting something in a very physical universe, it's very, I mean, you're hitting some they're choreographers in a lot of ways. They want you to do a lot of exact blocking, which I like. I find.
Do you find it restricted at all?
No, I think that's just like another version of dialogue. It's all just depending on what it is, for what the show is and who they are as artists, it makes sense. And so they're staying true to themselves in that way. And it's my job to like fill that in with myself.
Yeah.
Whereas even if you're word perfect, even if it's like very specific blocking, our job is to find the freedom within that. And if it's like, hey, do whatever you want, our job is to find the structure within that.
Yeah. I found it very interesting for Mandalorian, because everything was done in previs. So you were actually shown a version of what they wanted it to look like based on the script that had already been completely done. And you were like this walking figure. And it was like, okay, so how do you then take who you are, who you want the character to be, who she is, and in this box, find that the pieces that you want to add to it and find the creativity and find the character. It is a different challenge.
I got to watch Mandalorian. I've been meaning to.
It's fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be wild to be a part of that legacy and like be in that world.
It's super cool. It's very much like, having watched Empire Strikes Back is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Having watched Star Wars as a kid, it changed my life and made me want to be an actor. So it's to be a part of it. Absolutely. It's just crazy
Star
cool.
Wars was one of the main things that made me want to be an actor. Too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What was it about it? And what character did you identify with the most?
It was the characters. It was how fun the characters were, how fun the world was. They're very funny movies too. Which character did I want to be the most? It depended. I'd say it was always a toss-up between a bunch. Han Solo, C-3PO, R2-D2, Chewbacca, and Darth Vader.
I love it. I love it.
Darth Vader was so fun, even though he was not ever humorous. I think that's the greatest villain of all time in movie history. I think that. Just in terms of like a movie villain. Yeah.
He's the perfect villain, perfect backstory.
Perfect. It's also too like just wild that you're watching. You're getting so sucked into. 3 of the characters don't move their faces. Darth, C-3PO, and R2-D2. I mean, R2-D2 literally doesn't like really have a body. And yet there's so much expression coming out of him.
Yes.
And then Chewbacca doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
But like, I had all the toys and everything though, so I had like favorite characters that were really, like I loved Hammerhead because of the toy. And I was like, oh, there's that one shot of Hammerhead. And Harrison Ford is really like the greatest movie star
he's like
ever.
He's like a god. Like I was like in the same room as him and that was like enough for me.
Yeah, I think about him a lot too, doing Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Because he's an insane, I think that, David is obviously like very much like an extension in his own way of Harrison Ford in that. Like there is like something very Han Solo about Hopper. And I think that there's certain things of like, I remember when anyone want to change jobs, I had that line. And I was like, I couldn't get Harrison Ford out of my mind in that moment of Han Solo.
Definitely.
I always think of him in Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is also one of my favorite movies. There's this one moment I'm always thinking, it's always coming into my mind when we're filming Stranger Things, where he's like into the bar, like when he goes to the Himalayas or whatever to get care, to like see Karen Allen's dad.
Yes.
And then they come in and they like start attacking them and they like into the bar and there's fire coming down the bar. And Karen Allen's behind the bar. And he just looks at her and he goes, whiskey? He hands him the whiskey bottle and he bashes the guy in the head. Nobody gives Harrison Ford credit for, well, now I think he is getting that credit because of Shrinking. But so I always thought he was so funny, so funny.
So funny. So funny. Shrinking. So good.
Yeah.
So good. What are you looking to do next? What are you actively searching for or trying to manifest?
I want to many things. I'm trying to manifest just doing more transformational work.
Yeah, cool.
Of where I really start to play a lot more characters that you're like, who is that?
Yeah.
Just make it look a lot more like Gary Oldman,
Oh God, Gary's my favorite. God.
Yeah, and then I'm I'm writing a screenplay now. I want to, be that type of director that is making films, starring, writing, directing, like a good Jew.
Yeah.
And I want to do that. I want to I do think that I have a lot to say and hold on, I'm plugging this in. I have a lot to say about I have worlds I want to build, too. So I want to do that. And so I'm writing a screenplay now. It's a horror comedy. And I want to be I want to become one of the more notable gangster actors. Start doing a lot of iconic gangster roles.
Just super gangster. There's just a gangster daddy in the background.
Yeah. I want to take over. I want to follow in De Niro and Pacino's footsteps and be somebody who's playing a lot of gangsters.
I feel like there's an opening for it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then, I want to manifest playing more sexual, sexy guys that are more overtly sexy. Cause I feel like that's how I'm seen a lot in life. And I'd love to emulate that a little bit more, It's a piece of it's something that you see as missing, or it's something in you that you want represented, that you want to get out. I want that's represented in me that I want to put forth more. Get it. So, I don't know. There's just so much. It's constant, it's constant thinking about what I want. So that's our job. What about you? What do you want? What's funny is are you in something right now? I just booked something that I'm really excited about. Oh, amazing. But I feel like I manifested it in that, I took 2 years off to take care of our daughter who was going through some health stuff. And I kept saying to my husband, I need a character where I can get this shit out. I got to get this shit out. I need to find someone that can just take it from me. And that's what I have. And I'm super excited. It hasn't been announced yet, but I'm super excited. So amazing. That's so great. Yeah. I'm really excited. I also want to do some really, really funny shit. Just do some really. I saw Mary on Broadway recently, and I was like, oh my God, I want to really lay into the comedy too. I mean, it's just, I want everything. I mean, mostly I want, to get the next thing. I'm very amped about that. Yeah. And it following in the footsteps, but I'm very happy for you. That's great. Oh, thank you. That's awesome. And I'm glad, cool. I'm glad your daughter's okay. Yeah, she's awesome. She's a bigger hero than I'll ever be. So. Wow. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you for taking the time to do this. It's been so nice to get to know you. Oh my God. You have no idea how much I needed this conversation. You really helped me. And, I needed this. So it's so great to get to know you too. I'm, such a fan of your work, and thank you. Yeah. I mean, break a leg on this project. I can't wait to see it. I'm excited. And I can't wait to see what's next from you. Mm-hmm. Truly. You make it look easy, and I know it's not. So I'm just, you are so fucking talented. So. Oh my God. Likewise. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. I hope I didn't take too much of your time. Thank you. No, not at all. I could have talked like this all day. Really, I'm talking about acting. I could too, but I'm very conscious of the time. I'm talking about acting and myself. Will anybody listen to a 5-hour expose on Brett Gelman? Oh my. Just kidding. Beware of those that would. Those are the people you want to stay far, far away from, at least for right now. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye. Have a good one.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Hindsight. Thank you so much for sticking around for this. I am joined by my friend and host and producer, the guy that does it all, Jeph Porter. Hi, Jeph.
Hi, Katee.
Hi. You can tell
Hello.
it's a beautiful summer day here.
I know. You're like, the sun is so bright that the other side of you is going dark. You're like two-faced today.
I am. Look at that. I could do the whole interview just like this.
I mean, that's not bad.
Leaned forward.
Yeah. Just lean in, lean in like you're supposed to, according to that book that everybody read like 10 years ago.
Lean in?
Lean in.
Wasn't that like, it was like a female mantra, right? Like it was like a feminist mantra, like lean in, everybody. Wasn't it written by a politician?
I think it was written by the lady who used to run Facebook.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. There you go. That is a true story.
Yeah, Sheryl Sandberg.
There you go. There you go.
So speaking of leaning in,
yeah,
Brett really likes to lean into his characters.
He really does. Like, I mean, he I literally like finished that episode and thought to myself, I don't know if I try hard enough.
Well, it's funny because we were on the last Hindsight, we were talking about you started going to an acting coach.
Well, I haven't started yet. But it never occurred to me that like people still go to acting coaches. Like I just was under the impression that people went to acting coaches until they started working and then they stopped.
No, it's kind of like therapy, like you don't stop going to therapy when, you feel like you've solved something.
Well, I guess I'll let you know what it's like to be a 45-year-old who's like never gone to therapy. And like their life is like, working great. But they're just like, I don't know, I thought I'd give it a try. Why are you here? No reason.
Yeah. No reason? You'll find one.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, I mean, I was so inspired by him and just like the way that he attacks characters and the way he sort of breaks them down. And then like working with the acting coach, I was just, all of it was like, oh my God, I feel like I need an acting coach.
Did this conversation directly influence your decision to?
It did.
Did? Mm-hmm. And you haven't had a session yet with your coach?
I met her. We sat down for like 2 hours and she, I mean, she's phenomenal. The list of people that she's the coach for is pretty amazing. I mean, like, I can't even remember what it was, but I mean, I know that like Brad Pitt and Zoe Saldana are on the list. So it's
that's great. Both of them are very successful.
It's a good group of people to be with. As a private acting coach. Yeah.
I knew people that used acting coaches even for auditions. Like every time they would get an audition, they would like work with an acting coach before they did anything and found it just invaluable to do that because, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense because an audition is essentially a job application and you want to put your best foot forward with that. And
yeah, I mean, true. There's only so much like I can do. I mean, there's just only so much I can do. I'm limited to my life experiences and my imagination. And, even like listening to Kate Siegel talk about how sometimes she'll like run a scene with her kids and look for their reactions because like sometimes a child's reaction is so different even. Like even that like is crazy. That's like crazy good. Then I talked to Trisha and Trisha was like, yeah, I've used an acting coach constantly. And I was like, what? No one told me this.
Well, I mean, I guess it's you're a victim of your own success in a way, keep getting work. So you're like, oh, everything's fine.
Yeah, everything's fine.
Yeah. So I found this interesting because, you have been talking a lot on these episodes about your feelings on your acting career and being in everything. And yeah, you keep going out of focus.
All right.
I think we just we'll live with it.
We just have to deal with it.
Just you in the dark.
There's nothing I can do.
It's a beautiful day. Which is worse, that or leaning forward for...
How's that?
I mean, it looks great. You got some bounce now.
Oh my God. Where is it coming from?
Yeah, we need to fly in a flag.
Like right there.
You have is there a grip somewhere that can fly in a flag now?
I'll just hold that right there.
Yeah, that's some good exercise for you.
How's that?
Just ask Robin if he can just stand there for 45 minutes.
Just borrow his head?
He's not allowed to participate. He just has to stand there.
Oh my God. Hold on. This is going to drive me nuts. I'll be right back.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick downtime right now while Katee figures out the lighting so we can actually see her face, because that's why we're doing video, so you guys can see her face. So we need to make sure that we can do that. So we're going to go away right now and come back with some better lighting. Hey, look at that. All right.
Blue painter's tape. Never leave home without it.
It's great.
There I am.
Good job. And
Vargas, come here.
We're back.
And we're back. Yes, Brett Gelman.
So his acting inspired you in some way. Does it make you feel like you need to do more method acting?
No. I mean, if method is just that you have a method, sure.
Yeah, have a process.
A process. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And I think that I have one. Mm-hmm. I think I have one.
What is it?
I just don't think I've ever thought about it before.
That's
And so it's interesting to sit down with an acting coach and be like, okay, so all of these things that you're doing already, let's just be more specific about them. Let's be more calculated in the way that you're doing this. And that just hearing it out loud and talking to somebody about a character, and it's very interesting to do that.
Yeah. I mean, do you do, like, when you get a character, I mean, how much prep do you do and what does it look like?
I do a lot of prep.
Yeah.
Primary prep for me is memorization. But while I'm memorizing a character and the dialogue, I'm hearing her in my head over and over and over and over and over again. I go into the bathroom and I will play out scenes that aren't in the script. I will, like, scenes that were, that she has with a character before, like.
Are you doing it like in the shower, having conversations in the shower?
Sometimes in my head. Yeah, absolutely. I like extended scenes, if you will. Like, I remember like constantly standing in the mirror, like during Longmire, talking to Walt, having conversations with Walt about how I felt, what I wanted to say to him, our relationship. The things that are unsaid as a character, I say that in my head. And I sometimes go as far, like I said, as going in the mirror and having a conversation.
Yeah.
Because I love that shit. I don't know, it's so creative to me to, like, live in someone else's shoes.
What do you think that is doing for you, for the character and for your job as an actor? What is that doing for you?
It's just providing layers. It's providing depth. It's not just one scene. When we exist in life as people, you and I are having a conversation right now, but there's so much more going on in my life right now that I'm also aware of that has influenced our conversation. And I know where I'm going right after this. Right. I know where I just was and I know where I'm going. Everyone knows that because we're fucking living a life. So my goal as an actor when I'm playing a character is to know all of that.
Right. So, like, when you're as in your example from Longmire, when Vic is just having a conversation with Walt, even if the conversation is about something completely different, in real life, the things about their relationship are still going through Vic's head.
100%. 100%.
Even if you're just talking about, like, getting coffee or something,
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things that I love so much about watching performance is the unspoken. is being able to see what someone is thinking when they're saying something completely different.
Yeah.
That comes from doing the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've also mentioned on our last episode with Ashley, you talked in that interview about like a specific hand gesture that you would bring to a character, that you would figure out what that hand gesture was and then bring that into the character.
Well, I did it for bo-katan because she is such a still person. Sitting still like that is and was very difficult for me. I move a lot. So I had to move my hand as the character. I channeled all the energy in my entire body to just her thumb and her middle finger.
Right.
And that's the piece of me that would move.
That particular example is always so interesting to me, though, because you started that character as an animated character where you didn't have control over how they animated the character. Like, you would probably...
I would not have played her in live action. Let me think about this. I don't know, because I don't know for sure, if I would have played her the way she was animated had they hired me as an actor. Because, let's think about it, it was during Battlestar Galactica. I was playing Starbuck at the time. She probably would have been a lot more just like me, just naturally. But because she was established in animation, I felt it important to be truthful to who I thought she was.
Yeah. Oh, and we've talked about this in the past before, but I still find it very interesting because you're one of like a very, very small handful of people that have had that experience of translating an animated character into a live action character. And you know, how much are you, the process is just different in that than it would be if you were, like you're saying, if you were just given bo-katan as a live action character from the get-go, she would have developed differently.
Yeah, most likely she would have.
Yeah. You talked about your working with Richard Dreyfuss and a number of actors. There was also a lot of name dropping of actors, not name dropping in the bad sense. I mean, like literally just saying names of actors. Yeah. And I wanted to just go through some of them and have you tell people who they are in case some of our listeners don't know who they are. Well, first you mentioned working with Richard Dreyfuss. Dreyfuss from Jaws, obviously. People must know Richard Dreyfuss. Yeah. He said that he gave you said he gave you a list of movies. Do you remember any of these movies?
No.
So they didn't make an impact at all?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely watched movies, like I'd never seen The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which I was working with like Eli Wallach. So, I watched that. I watched High Noon.
Yeah.
Like he definitely had some Westerns on there. I watched Lawrence of Arabia. I watched...
Have you ever seen Lawrence of Arabia in a theater?
No. I would imagine it's insane. 70
millimeter in a big theater. It's a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to the mail sack because I think we're about at that time.
Are we? We're at the mail sack?
Yeah. What is happening?
I love it. Let's get into the mail sack. God.
Mail sack. We're going to the mail sack. Why are we calling it mail sack?
You guys, you can email us. Sorry, I'm looking for questions. You can email us at thesackhoffshow@gmail.com.
Yeah. And I got a comment from our YouTube here too, if you want to take a look at it.
Go for it.
You want me to read it?
Yes, please.
All right. It's from Camp Slappy 8104. Or Camp Slappy. I don't know.
Cam Slappy. The camp is either happy or Cam is slappy.
Yeah, exactly. Cam Slappy with a silent P. Katee, if you could be in Star Trek Legacy, post Star Trek Picard, what character would you want to be? Love interest to Jack Crusher, daughter of Romulan Commander Sela, who was played by Denise Crosby.
Oh, I mean, I like Denise and I could play her daughter.
Yeah. Would you play a Romulan? I could see that. That would actually be a great role for you, I think.
Yeah, I could do that.
Do you know the whole arc with her character and Denise and on TNG?
No.
So she was in the first season of Star Trek.
Yes.
And then she left the show for behind the scenes reasons. I think she just wasn't happy with her deal, and the first season wasn't very good, so I think she didn't think it was going anywhere. And then the show, of course, became a phenomenon, and she returned as a Romulan, and there was some, and I can't even remember I'm sure somebody who listens to this show knows exactly what the reason is, but there's some reason why she looks like Denise Crosby. Oh, I think they like cloned her or something, like to try to like infiltrate Starfleet or something. But
interesting.
Anyway, she would be a great
that would be good.
Yeah,
I actually really like
daughter.
Denise. She's very cool.
Yeah.
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 I've seen her at a ton of conventions.
Yeah. Okay, we got an email from Steven that I'll read because your screen has gone blank.
Because I can't see anything.
Yeah. Katie's screen has gone blank and Robin is watching the children, so all hell is broken loose.
Exactly.
Hello, Katee, and the wonderful, spectacular producer, Jeph. I did not add that. I've been catching up on episodes while at work because it helps the day go by and it takes my mind off my mundane task. I finally listened to the recent Ron Moore episode, and it was great to get some more insights into his thinking, especially for BSG. And it's also been great listening to you explain more about the studio world, especially the call sheet. It got me wondering, hence the name of the email. Of all your work, what's a background character or secondary character that might have caught your eye and you wondered who they were and could they have been expanded on? I personally loved all the character expansions for BSG, from longtime sci-fi men Ty Olsson and Mike Dopud to Jen Halley's Seelick, Starbuck rival Luciana Caro's cat, even Edward's own son, Bodhi Hot Dog. Which I remember, blah, 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 blah. And your very own San Witwer Crashdown, although I think we all agree Crashdown had to go. Keep up the great work, and I look forward to catching up on current episodes.
Yeah, I mean, there's always like smaller characters that could have more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, all of those characters, I think they all died. But I think that's the thing, right? Is that it's the stakes game. Like, if nobody ever died in Battlestar Galactica, then, you know, the stakes aren't high enough. Like you
Right.
have to have that loss of life to portray that like it really is life and death. And so, you know, you bring these characters in because you don't necessarily want to kill some of your regulars yet. And so sadly they have to go.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm trying to think of like some other characters. I thought that Ruby on Longmire could have had more.
Yeah.
Luann is such a great actress and she's so capable. And I wish that they would have gotten her out of the office just once. Maybe, I mean, that would have been nice. So, yeah.
Do you remember, did you ever watch Lost?
I did.
Do you remember when they had that episode about those side characters and everybody really hated it? And it was just this one, I think it was one episode where they just did like a total, like, we're just going to follow two other random people that you've never seen before. But because that show had like, you know, there were background people all over that show that were also survivors of the crash. And, and they just did when everybody was like, we don't care. We want to know what's going on with Jack and Kate. And
Kate.
Know, like, yeah. So that's funny.
Yeah.
Also, in a way, I mean, not completely, but in a way, Bo-Katan was kind of a side character that was expanded upon.
They gave a whole season too.
Yeah. All right. That's our last email, Katee.
Okay.
I have a question that Brett's episode made me think of that I think we could ask people.
For the fans?
For the fans.
Okay. For the listeners. Let's go. What's the question?
We've talked a lot about this already, but I want to know, what is your weird process? Not for acting, just for your job or anything you do. Do you have a weird process that you do to get something done?
Oh my God. A weird process.
I mean, you kind of answered it a little bit with your acting process, but I'm interested to know if anybody out there in Sackhoff land has a
weird process. Do you have a weird process for anything?
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think about what I have. I mean, the only process I can think of is like how I make coffee in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like I have an AeroPress, so I have a whole thing where I have to get
Right.
it all out, grind beans, do this
Oh,
thing,
my
all
God.
that stuff. Yeah, it's
Not up my alley.
it's literally a process.
I need coffee like quickly.
Yeah.
A process.
Well, you think about it, and then we'll see if we can get some emails, and we'll talk about it again.
Oh my God. I don't think I have a process for anything.
You probably do. Like you, when you go into your sauna, is there a process that you to do that, or your ice bath?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I like put my booties on, but like, no, I'm not like a creature of habit process person.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let's see if we can get any.
All right. I'm
any
curious
things.
what everyone else says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patreon?
Yeah, let's move over to our patrons. We're going to watch an Indiana Jones clip. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Terry Nichols and the Oklahoma City bombing a little bit more. What else are we going to talk about, Jeph?
We have a listener that sent us in some of their kids' music who we featured them in a comment on another episode, and they sent us some of their music.
Yes. And I am going to quite literally let my hair down a little bit once we get there. So if you want to join us over at Patreon, you can do that. Just go to patreon.com/The Sackhoff Show and do that right now. Go check it out. Other than that, we're going to move on to the patrons. And for the rest of you, we will see you next Tuesday. And that's what's up.